Ahoy.
Hello. That was a good breath. That was par for the course. Hi, happy Sunday. Hello, greetings from Los Angeles. And Lawrence is back. Lawrence, how are you doing? How have you been navigating the last week and a half? Week, week and a half.
Almost 2 weeks now.
Wait.
Almost 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, on Tuesday night it'll be 2 weeks. Wow, that
Crazy.
sucks. Yeah.
Here, back, doing fine. Looking forward to catching up tonight.
Yeah.
Luckily, just to cut to the quick, I didn't have to evacuate. There was that false alarm that everybody got, which was a little weird. I want to
Uh-huh.
talk about that psychologically.
Sure.
But other than that, I'm down in Redondo. I'm safe, and just trying to help out people in my circle that have needed help. And
Mhm.
yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah.
how are you?
I'm okay. I think you are that bottom, like below it and away from it, and I'm top away from it. So it's
Yeah,
kind of in between us right now, but as well, like just helping the friends. I honestly, I think tonight's conversation is timely because a lot of my mom pals have really been reaching out to me thinking, am I sure it's okay for the kids to go back to the learning center? They're not comfortable sending their kids outside. There's this webinar that happened in Los Angeles. I'm sure we'll talk about because you sat in on it,
I was on it.
talking
Yeah,
about air quality, all these important topics because the tragedy of the fires, there's two fires still burning, but they're not residential. So we're not hearing any destruction anymore. But what's
yeah,
the aftermath? What's happening in the air? What's happening around us? So, yeah, are your friends okay? Your gals okay? All that? Yeah.
yeah. The
Okay,
people
cool.
closest to me are, and there's some, like there. Yeah, I mean, with what I do in terms of health, these are questions that I'm expected to kind of know some answers on. I mean, it kind of goes beyond just the food. Often, it's like, and in a lot of
Mhm.
ways, those things that the things that we don't automatically recognize. I think most people, okay, processed food, junk food, you can kind of see things coming.
Mhm.
But the unseen things like air quality, that we'll talk about, or water, those are things that are often like underappreciated. It's like, if
Mhm.
you can't see anything in the water, oh, maybe it's just fine to drink, or if the air looks clear, maybe it's just fine out there. Like,
That's what I'm.
um, so these are things
Yeah.
that we'll talk about, and I think in generally also just what really hit home for me this past couple weeks is like I had a false evacuation notice, but like in that like 5 or 10 minutes of
Oh
thinking that I had to
gosh, you got.
evacuate,
Yeah.
you really do go through a mental inventory of like,
Yeah.
oh my God, am I ready to do that? What am I taking with if I've got to like leave everything?
Mhm. Mhm.
What's important to me?
Mhm.
And
That
I
fight or
think
flight kicks in
it
probably, and
goes
you're
to a
like,
bigger
"Boom."
thing of, I mean, the quick take home message was like, do that inventory now if you're
Uh-huh.
able,
Mhm.
if you've managed to avoid any kind of disasters. And it could be anything. I mean, for us, we're talking from Southern California, we're in Los Angeles, we're talking about fires, there's earthquake,
Mhm.
potentials and different things. But really anywhere, a house fire can happen.
Mhm.
And it's sort of like, what do you want to keep safe? What are you backing up? Personal items and photos and items that are sentimental.
Mhm.
Those feel like they hit the hardest for me when I'm
Mhm.
watching through these stories,
Mhm. Mhm.
and obviously
Yeah.
there's just even deeper
Yeah, that's the
tragedies that
hardest
go in this.
bit. I
Yeah,
know. Hi, Roger. Hi, Aaron. I see you guys there. Thank you. Yeah, speaking of the tragic stories, I know Blazer shared this earlier before we even started, but one of my students lost his home. They had to flee the Eaton fire in
ugh,
Altadena, lost every, and the thing is they were out of the house walking down to the park entrance where they lived to say what was that explosion, the comms that went down. They didn't have time to go back in. They just left in the cars.
oh my God,
And so the
I'm
the the,
sorry.
the beautiful part is his cello was there, like they had, each other, they had that. And the people are really rising up. They had a safe place to land. And now it's just the horrible aftermath of not getting a penny back for their house, and all the crazy that
Well,
drama.
yeah, that's a
Mhm.
whole other show, but I will
Oh,
say this, that, a lot of
mhm,
attention goes to the Palisades because it's wealthy community and,
mhm.
beachfront and celebrities and yada yada. But Altadena to me was in many ways even a bigger gut punch. Not to even
Yes,
put levels to
right?
this or to try to,
Yeah, yeah. It was
but
more personal for
it
me.
was it felt Altadena felt particularly tragic on a lot of levels. That's an area where, for people that don't know the history of Altadena, it's one of the
Mhm,
few places in this country where blacks were owning homes, like home ownership among black communities,
mhm.
and you know, you have generational wealth passed
The
on and that real
Yes.
estate.
Yeah.
And when you think of that, when you think of the elderly, people have had their homes for 50 or 60 years, you
Mhm.
know. So I guess that is, don't get it twisted, because it's not just like a bunch of rich people just lost some property and they can easily replace it. There are people that are, this is just
This was the
absolutely
end. Yeah.
devastated and cut off the entire lineage of being able to,
Pass it
pass a
down.
home down. And
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. That's my
it's a
little
mess.
Brook family. They put every penny in the house. The savings is
I'm
gone.
so
It's whatever
sorry.
whatever they make is what they're gonna have. And so they're trying to figure out their game plan. But you hit it on the head because there's something about that area. The passed down homes, but I remember shooting over there. They have strict laws for film shoots because they want to protect their neighborhood and protect these neighbors. But I
Right.
met a lot of elder people that had been there forever, showing me these trees that had been there for way before us, like just gorgeous terrain.
Yeah.
And people, it was, yeah, tragic, just tragic. So
Yeah. What more
the
do you say?
community rises. Yeah. And now we really have to think of, we made it through that trauma, but now we have this aftermath to think about. Um,
Hmm.
with the air quality. Now, what's going on with that? Because you're going to probably blow my mind today because I'm telling everyone, yeah, my house is clear. And the learning center, oh no, it's clear. And I can usually taste it in my mouth and I don't taste
Right.
anything. But does that mean there's something hidden or?
Yeah. I'll pull up a doc in a
Uh huh.
sec here. I'll give you the signal to pull it up. But before
Okay.
we do that, just to preface this all, there's
Uh-huh.
obviously a lot of context to this. Is like proximity, right? Like how close you are,
Mm-hmm.
to where the main, events took place. So that
Mm-hmm.
that does matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the nature of different types of fires and what we're dealing with now. It's, you've got forest fires that happen, and ash in the sky, and particulate smoke, and the things that you can smell and see, and there's a little more obvious, and the
Mm-hmm.
things that the air quality index will pick up. um, what's tricky about this situation, these are structural fires, and we've got homes and cars and uh, building materials, and rubber from tires, and all of these things, dioxins, and really gnarly pollutants going into the sky. And that's kind of what we'll go through tonight. Is I've got a document. Heidi, you can pull it up
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
want now, and we can
Mm-hmm.
kind of get into it. And one of the big things that people rely on, and it makes sense too, right? Because this is what we see. We get these apps, and they have air quality index,
Okay.
and the air quality index is something that, who we have shouting out. We got
Oh,
Daryl.
hi, dear. I was saying
Hey,
hi, Daryl. Hi, Jane.
let's
They're
say hello
popping
to
in.
everyone as we get into this.
Yeah. Guys
Uh,
are so sweet. Okay.
the air quality index, it measures essentially, four groups, four key pollutants. You've got kind of your dust particles, which they measure like particulate matter 10 and PM 2.5. They're dust, soot, vehicle exhaust or wildfires. These are these kind of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ground level ozone. Um, ozone has some context too. Ozone can be a friend or foe, but too much ground level ozone, considered really a harmful gas, that can be formed from things like car exhaust, industrial pollutants reacting with sunlight. This is not to be confused with the protective ozone layer, which is higher up in the atmosphere.
Okay.
Measure carbon monoxide, right? We know about carbon monoxide, and that's also produced from incomplete burning of fossil fuels, vehicles, heating systems, and sulfur dioxide, so burning coal, oil, and it has a sharp smell, right? Affects
Mm-hmm.
breathing.
Mm-hmm.
You find this near power plants, industrial areas. So here's the big, you know, This is the big
Mhm.
thing. Take home for tonight and things to think about. While the air quality index measures several critical pollutants,
Mhm.
there are other air quality factors that it doesn't. And I'm not going to read all this off, but you could just kind
Oh,
of take a
no.
look here.
That's a lot.
It's a lot,
Oh, geez.
right? Paints,
Mhm.
cleaning supplies, pesticides, mold that comes up, right?
Oh, gosh.
Bacterias, this stuff, ammonia, heavy
Mm.
metals, lead, mercury, cadmium, radon, these ultrafine particles, so things that are smaller than the PM 2.5, right? And these particles, this is the key here. They can penetrate deeper into the lungs and
Ooh,
potentially enter the
damn it.
bloodstream. And these are not routinely measured by standard air
Mhm.
quality index systems. You've got nitric
Mm.
oxide, greenhouse gases, and this just talks about odors, like just unpleasant odors. But really, the big
Mhm.
things are all these um, chemical compounds that are burning off when you have structural fires in homes. I mean, think
Mm.
about the carpet and the glue and the tiles and
And all that stuff.
it's
Yeah.
you
Asbesto.
know
Yeah.
right. Um,
Oh,
so now
jeez. And
to
all the
that,
products in their house. All the products in the house that
all
go
the
up too.
products in
Oh
the
my
house, and think about the
gosh. Yeah.
household cleaners and the beauty, like the cosmetic, like the all of
Jeez.
this stuff,
Yeah.
the processed food.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just like about anything.
Yeah.
Now there's cleanup, obviously massive cleanup that's going to have to happen underway. And then hopefully they've got to really do this right, because cleanup is going to involve being very careful with how they do this.
Yeah, and can I throw in one
Sure.
nugget? So where I am, I'm kinda by one of the dumps that we've been fighting for several years.
Yeah.
I've only been up here 2 years. Apparently, they shut it down, but we're still seeing trucks go in and out, and we've had this air quality. So I thought I had my finger on the pulse with this for so long. Come to find out, yeah, you're saying that's what the people are screaming. It's not measuring everything, the air
It's
quality.
not. And so those air
Yeah,
quality maps look beautiful when you see all that
they look
lovely
nice. Yeah,
green.
yeah.
And I think that we're going to get into some solutions and strategies and how to kind of move through this.
Mhm,
I think if you're spending a significant amount of time outside, especially people that are, I mean, close to these fires, like let's
mhm.
say you're within 10 miles. I mean, there are some people trying to already go back to their home, the people that their homes were intact and
Oh,
were
better.
saved.
Yeah,
Probably not a good idea for those people to do that.
yeah.
If you are going to be outside and you're somewhat near these areas, and for a significant amount of time, I hate the word, but mask, because
I know,
I
right?
hate the
Here we are.
word.
Now's when you need it. Now's when
Here
you need
now,
it.
it's, Heidi, what the hell?
I
What
know.
full circle of hell are we in?
I know.
But this is actually where an
5 years later.
N95
Uh-huh.
well fit would be practical.
Jeez.
Like I said, especially somebody working outside.
Mhm,
You know, I we're gonna get into air filtration, but
mhm,
I don't know. Before I get into that, Heidi, do you
mhm.
have like a home air
Yes, because of
purifier?
that dump, they actually gave everybody one of those, they say NASA, super duper good one.
Yeah.
We have one in all our rooms, and then at the learning center, they invested in the big guys, and they did that just for sheer LA air quality. So we've been cranking those out nonstop.
You
But
know,
what do you think? Mhm.
indoor air, because as a rule, it's what's interesting is like this this notwithstanding, like just remove this. Generally speaking, indoor air quality is worse than outdoor air in general. In
In
general,
general.
but in this
Oh,
case, it's probably
okay. Okay.
an even trade
Yeah.
in some ways, because indoor air, it's not circulating, and you get this catch 22. When all this stuff was happening, even though I'm about 20 miles or so south of everything, I was like, okay, kind of seal off, close the windows,
Mhm.
right? Because there was all through our neighborhood. I mean, my car was covered in
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, it shifted down your way,
Yeah, I
didn't
mean,
it?
my car
Yeah.
was blanketed.
Aw.
And I could see that on the leaves and the shrubs, and you could just see the stuff
The
is floating
soot.
around.
Mhm.
I had my windows closed. I plugged in my air purifier, and it gives the first 60 seconds it's on, it reads the room,
Oh, nice.
and it's better than me. I don't always read the room,
Dun, dun.
but it was red, You know,
Right away?
it was red,
Wow.
it was,
Uh-huh.
like, severe, so ran it, cranked it, and, had it resolved in an hour, I got it to green, but
Wow.
that was kind of eye-opening and telling. The good news is you don't need so let's get into, kind of the filtration thing. Um,
Hi, Gerald. I see you there. Nice to see you,
HEPA
Gerald.
these
Mhm.
HEPA filters, they're very affordable now,
Right?
and
Okay. Yeah.
they're very affordable, and
Mhm.
there is a standard, and so, there's a lot of super fancy schmancy ones out there, but you can pick these up at, 50, $60, go by square footage,
Okay.
of your requirements, but HEPA stands for high efficiency particulate air, and they're designed to trap particles as small as zero point 0.3 microns. Okay.
Mhm.
So you got that. Obviously, we saw some of the other things above are going to be less, but you're knocking out a great deal. And with those particulates, it's 99.97% or higher. And so the dust, pollen, mold, spores, pet dander, bacteria, viruses, some of that stuff.
Okay.
Um, Obviously, the benefits, air quality, health, we don't need to see those. There are portable ones, like I said, very affordable, whole house systems that you can integrate into your HVAC system,
Mhm.
um, and even vacuum cleaners that have these attachments.
Attachments. And if
Most
it's
of them now are like 3-stage, so they'll have
Mhm.
like the carbon filters because this kind of gets into like kind of what would be better than that. Oh, whoa, what's going on here? Hi.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so you were saying, Heidi?
You were saying per square footage, so, like, if you have an open concept house or, like, a 500 square foot living room or something, or you get a big
Yeah,
big kitchen, living room, should you have them in different you're just basically covering your square foot of the
yeah.
place you
I mean, I
mostly reside in. I would put it in the bedrooms probably.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
mine, yeah, I think mine is like a 1,200 square foot.
Okay.
I'm in like a townhouse, so I've got a downstairs, upstairs.
Uh-huh.
So I probably get another one, but, I kinda ran that one downstairs overnight, and then
Mhm.
I have it in my room and kind of been moving it around,
Gotcha,
and
gotcha.
everything's been testing, checking, and looking okay.
Okay,
Now the upgrades on that, you get the ULPA. Right? So those are even more efficient. So they can
okay.
capture down to 0.12 microns at 99.9999, right?
Fancy.
Costlier, right? And some cons of restricting airflow. You might require a stronger fan. I think HEPA is just fine for almost everybody.
Okay.
I think that like on the kind of ground zero where everything's gone on, this is where actually they could bring in because my family is in air quality, by the way, so I could,
What? Oh, I
in
didn't even
part of
know that.
well, heating and air,
And look
and then that
okay, then
lends
here's
itself to air quality control.
okay,
So, yeah, UV lights and HVAC systems there. Hey,
okay.
Midnight West watchers, there we go.
Nice.
And so for cleanup purposes after fire damage, like big industrial strength ozone machines can actually, work well. If
Okay.
you think of rainstorms, for instance, after a rainstorm and you get that kind of fresh air smell,
Mhm.
just from cloud formations, and if you have a thunderstorm and lightning, there's ozone generated, and that does a pretty good job of just kind of cleaning the air
Oh,
naturally.
I hope so.
So we
Oh
kind of
my
hope for rain.
oh my gosh, Lawrence, I don't wanna jinx anything, but I swear I saw something for next Saturday. So,
It would be a
that would be
perfect time
amazing.
for
Yes.
not just the
Please.
water, but that after effect of the
Client.
air.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, activated carbon filters. So a lot of these are combined into, into the existing HEPA. Like mine, a very inexpensive purifier I have, and it has the activated carbon filter in it.
Mhm.
Um, so small air purifiers, hybrid systems. So the UV light, yeah. So who had mentioned that? So UV light ionizers
Nice.
can help. And then it's just in choosing. It's just size of the area, right? So square
How much you
footage.
wanna cover, uh-huh. And
Yeah.
if you have pets too, right? I mean, this isn't just for tragedy, fires and stuff. This
Right.
is
No,
people
this
should
is
be having these
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Cool.
Well said. This is actually a good thing to think about regardless. Like
Mhm.
your indoor air quality. When
That's
people
why that's why the giant, as soon as he wakes up, he's opening everything up, even
yeah,
our downstairs. And I'm the freezing old lady, and I'm like but he's just like, "Circulate,
yeah.
circulate after."
look at things like maintenance, noise level,
Mhm.
cost, these things that as you're shopping around. I think that most most of these HEPAs, like nowadays, like newer generations are pretty tricked out, and they work pretty well. You can close the share.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so to talk about to kind of talk about in general use, right? So to go to this air quality thing and what's called off gassing, when you get new carpeting,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you hear these terrible stories of like small pets, like a tiny little teacup chihuahua that dies, right after a home gets new carpeting because their poor little lungs,
Oh, I didn't know that.
couldn't take the off gassing from the new carpet.
Oh,
Or
wow. I
when you
didn't
get
think of
a
that.
new bed or like something like a memory foam mattress, a Tempur-Pedic mattress, for instance, like these things, they off gas.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
that the new car smell or the new carpet smell, it's like
You're not
it's
supposed
not
to be
healthy,
breathing it in.
right?
They usually
So
come
those
with a
are
clause too, right? Like, air this out before you sleep on it or, like, air it out
yeah.
before you Oh.
Yeah, so I think these are, important. There's this kind of this comes down to like the controllables and the things, the things that are kind of out of our control and the things that are in our control.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, which is a lot of what this bigger conversation is. Yeah,
yeah.
lots of chemicals start releasing in new carpet.
Yep.
Absolutely. From the
Mhm.
carpet material itself and then what they have to lay it down with, and if you're using like glues and different adhesives that are really pretty gnarly. So we live in a world that the modern society that is afforded and all the luxuries and different things that we've made. I mean, now this is what happens when they go up in flames and it
Mm.
gets released into the sky.
Mhm.
Um, I think that the controllable versus non-controllable is a big part of all of this, of like disaster preparation and doing things that can be within your control. Like, to go back to the top of the show of like taking inventory. um it's worth doing. Like, get a plan together, when
Yeah,
you
got
have
to.
that peace of mind of going, okay, I got that stuff in the lockbox.
Mhm.
I've got my documents in that case there, or in that drawer. I can open it up and in 5 minutes I can throw it into a suitcase.
Mhm.
Those
Mm.
things, if you plan that out ahead of time, can be critical, because in that moment where you've got an emergency, it's really hard to have your thoughts together. But if you've got some peace of mind that
Yeah.
you've drilled a little bit of this, boy, is that one, that is
That's
worth it. And I
calm,
realized I
yeah.
wasn't prepared.
Oh, I know, right?
I
25 years
wasn't. I was
here.
kind of like, shit.
I know. We're
Oh
like,
man,
"Yeah,
what am I gonna
yeah,
pack?
yeah." We, and if you have a family, assign tasks. So it's like my little guy, it was like, pick some out. We had made sure the go bags, we rechecked our medical go bags. We kept those like red, you know, should things like we can find them in the dark if we have to.
Yeah,
Check those. I'm like, Martin, you got all the like do the papers and the guns.
yeah,
And we each gotta have a job. And then really it depends on the trauma. You should have the game plan of where you're going to go, because like for us, we're kind of we'll be stuck. We really have to pick one direction and commit, because up and over the mountain, or you have to commit but have a plan. If it's over here, you go this way. If it's over here, you go this way.
yeah.
It's never bad to this really did teach us, we need to get a better plan in place.
Hold on
So
one
it's
second.
important.
I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking of a plan. This might be an urgent thing, and I just don't want to.
Oh, of course. No worries. I can always freeze that. Hi, Angel Wings. Good to see you. Nice to see you again, hun. Yep, that new car
One
smell
second.
is a chemical reactions. Totally. Um, yeah, I think you all remember when was it around Father's Day, we had a near evacuation, but that was for the smoke, the air quality. It wasn't for flames. So we weren't in the danger of the flames, but the air quality, the wind shifted and it got so bad that's when they were advising people to go. And we hunkered down because we're like, oh shucks. Lock ourselves in at home. Okay, no problem. But the wind shifted and cleared us out. Are you good? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I had to reply to that.
Sure, sure.
Some
It's
urgent.
live.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
It is. It, it- these things. It's like, man, which way do you go with these kind of conversations when you talk about all this? I mean, tonight we're just kind
Hmm.
of keep it on. I think keep it on seeing, taking an inventory of what matters, assigning tasks. If you're, if it's you and a family, that's a great thing to do. And it, like,
Mhm.
already kind of have that talk. A lot of anxiety comes in from just feeling blindsided and having no plan. So having a
Mhm.
little bit of a sense of a plan can also like help you respond in the moment better, because that's already kind of been taken care of. You're not
Right.
using up brain power trying to scramble for the things
Yeah.
that you could have handled up front.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
And reach out to
so
that community. You have a place to go. Reach out maybe before and hey, I think going gets worse. Can I head your way? But I think that also I think someone reminded me about pets always to make sure like in your go bags
yeah,
that you're thinking of your pets and any medication and glasses and cash, all those little things. And it's not bad. You don't have to unpack it when the danger's over. Maybe keep stuff to the side, old clothes you're not going to wear again. Just keep things
right.
packed and ready. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like where we're at. It's 2025 now, people. It's the second week of January. Keep your bags packed.
I mean, this is like we just set this year. I mean,
Yeah.
wow,
I
right
know,
away,
right?
right out the gate, right,
I know.
right out the
I
gate.
was like, what do you want to get all tinfoily about it? I mean, I feel like it feels so set up and so planned, but we don't have to go down that road.
There-
But
I
it's more like I see a mass exodus because I don't see a lot of these people able to stay after
Yeah,
losing their
there's
home.
there's a lot of
It's a lot
fishiness
of
to
fishy.
this, and
Mhm.
it's been very hard because it gets real noisy. Everybody's weighing in with their takes, and
Mhm.
if you look at it with a clear head, though, and you break down what what could have been done that wasn't for no real good reason, there is like a strong suspicion that some of the stuff, it was you just can't chalk it up to just kind of negligence. It's because
Right.
it's almost like beyond that.
No, it's totally beyond
the
now at this
the
point.
things that really hit home for me were the reservoir that's in the Palisades had been drained, and there was a repair that needed to be done on a cover. But first of all, that repair has been needed for over a year, so no action was taken on it. So right there.
Right there is mistake one. We're in
The
the desert, people. You
other
need
part of that
yeah.
that really, really, really bugs the shit out of me is that apparently that there was no need to have it emptied. Like, they could have
Oh,
had a
yeah.
supply, and this is literally just a few hundred yards away. This is, where this reservoir feeds, it's right there. So when people say something like, "Nobody could have stopped that," well, what they're
Mm,
talking about that couldn't have been stopped is this big gigantic thing. But the nature of fire is it becomes a big gigantic thing, but it doesn't start like that.
yeah.
It you can't prevent it from happening, but you can mitigate the damage of it.
Yep.
And then, not to mention the brush clearing and the basic maintenance that could have been done.
Mhm. But
When you
that
look at
reservoir made your eyes go like, "Wait a second.
when
Hi,
you
Victor."
look at overhead shots of these areas,
Yeah.
another thing that people seem to wanna argue about, the vegetation, the argument is, well, if a live plant or tree is full of water, it's less likely to burn. But I was actually watching a video of somebody who had some expertise on this. I wish I actually could drop the name. That would have been
Yeah.
really helpful right now. But he went into some detail on the fact that no, these are pieces of vegetation that should have burned away. Like, when you look at
Yes.
a car, some of these aerial shots,
The
the
car's
cars are just
melted.
melted, and then like 20 feet away is like a recycling bin. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
not to, if we want to talk about, tinfoil hat, what drives me nuts though is that even if you didn't include all of these tinfoil hatty things, there were basic things that a city needs to take care of that
Yes.
weren't.
Yes. Yeah.
Basic stuff, like basic,
Mhm.
we should all be able to agree on it, and that the fire chief herself,
Mm.
she was like, "This absolutely limited our ability." When they go up
Mhm.
to a hydrant, they expect to plug in and have some water.
Yeah, it seems to be just a recipe for
So
disaster. Yeah. And
I don't
a
know.
little 2 cents. I don't know if you saw one of my lives, but I have a parent in my class from the fire department for a few decades saying that they've been screaming for that they've been severely understaffed. They've had the same amount of firehouses they've had since the 60s. Nothing more. And LA's
And we've got a
what
few more people
yeah,
now.
a couple more people. And he's been said the firemen are saying these are winds and fires that we have not seen before. So to me, the people that don't look behind the curtain are starting to go, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I think we're all cheering and hoping more people ask these questions. But in the meantime, truly, it's trauma. So you're just working on the community and making sure everybody's okay right now. But it's a lot of fishy things. I was fishing to see where you were at with that, Lauren. So
Yeah, I mean, what really sank in that I didn't think about until I saw a realtor talking about the reality of this, and it really sunk in, was that especially a place like, Palisades,
yeah. No,
um
Pancho, you're on it. I want to get it.
which
Yeah, we got to be
we
fight. We
pissing
got to
some
be
people off.
talking.
Well, when we're talking about this place, like, so Palisades, so people know, it's certainly upscale, it's certainly where wealthy people live, but it is a very, like, there's neighborhoods, there's kids, there's schools, and think about if you had a home there and you raising your family, you have a kid who's 6 years old, 7 years old, hey, Mr. B and friends, you
Mhm.
and now you've got to uproot. Now,
Mhm.
who wants to be the first home on their block rebuilt while the rest of their family, while the rest of the block is in disarray like that? It's just not right.
Right.
So these people, they've got the means. They're gonna get away. I mean, there's not a lot of incentives, in other words, to go back to how things were, because first of all, it's gonna take forever. LA
Mhm.
permitting is ridiculous.
Oh my
2,
God,
3
it's
years to just get permits and things
mobsters.
in place. These
Mhm.
people are gonna be going down to Newport and all these. Let's say
Mhm.
they go to a neighboring community, Brentwood, Santa Monica, things get rebuilt 4 or 5 years later. Now your kid was 6 is now 11. They've already made new friends, and like, what it feels like is that the Palisades, and I'm speaking on the Palisades, and Altadena is a whole other thing too.
Mhm.
It's just, and I think the same thing that I'm gonna say applies, is it's not, it's just done.
Mm.
And
Mm.
this
Mhm.
realtor saying
Mhm.
he was surprised, maybe he was really surprised, honestly, but I wasn't surprised at all of the calls for land purchases.
Oh, I'm
And then
not
all the
surprised.
people that are in that vulnerable position to just be like, "F it,"
No, I know.
because I don't wanna go back there,
Yeah.
right?
No, Lawrence,
They've
yeah,
lost trust in
you want
feeling
something else
safe.
for your little spidey senses. Well, first, Pancho, I see you. And when you call departments, someone who doesn't look like a show up, they usually have blue
Oh,
hair. I
Jesus
totally get that.
Christ. That
My
drove me
parent
nuts.
is a burly, strong dude. And then I live in a first responder, mustache, handsome guy area. So they
Right.
still exist. The old school firemen do exist still here. But what I was going to share with you, Lawrence, I don't think you heard this part that I had to share. And I've shared it on a couple shows, even Topical Skeptic last night, that there's a location scout, that does Malibu Palisades. That's his job, for film locations.
Okay.
It was like September, and this guy is nothing conspiratorial. He just happened to have a post that's like, I cannot believe how many for sale signs are here in all my years, 25 years doing this. I've never seen so many. And I made note because, like, that's so weird. Something's going to happen to Malibu and Palisades. So
Wow.
it's like, was there a tip off? Was there a heads up? You're not hearing about bodies gone, with this. You're not hearing, I mean, you're hearing a lot of people have of
Yeah.
certain, yeah, you know what
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
say.
yeah.
Put
No, it's
down.
all there. It's there.
And
Look, there's a
Terry.
lot. It's especially maddening when you see that, like, 3 or 4 months ago, there was a 1 acre fire
Mhm,
that was in that area.
mhm. I
Yeah.
didn't know this.
Yeah.
Front door.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
well, let's get to
Yeah.
Altadena in a sec. I wanna finish
Yeah.
up on this, like, this news, bit that was a few months back. There was like a 1 acre fire in the Palisades, and was a helicopter over. They had a
Oh,
news
yeah.
helicopter,
And they didn't
and
have
you
the
see
yes.
flying over that reservoir, and it was just, like, so frustrating to see that now, so in hindsight, to see that empty ass reservoir,
They had
and
time
they
to
got
prepare.
lucky on that time because it was a 1 acre, there was low wind,
Mhm.
etcetera. So, this whole thing, we could go on and on, but it was a absolute massive, massive bungle.
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah,
worse,
yeah.
right?
The worst is I feel like it meant on purpose.
It was negligence, and at worst, it was full on,
Purpose.
like, malice.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Altadena,
Alta Dena.
what was really grinding my gears in a related thing of in terms of real estate is this jerk off talking about how they can it's always these ideas of reimagining and they're always dying to like,
Yes, the
you know,
video.
well, we
Oh
could
my
talk about Shimmy Shake Gavin
I
with
thought
his
that's where you were
Mr.
going. And
Hairdo.
he's like,
There's
"Ooh, we could do
him
this."
with LA 2.0. And then this other jerk off is talking about how they want to reconsider and reimagine zoning, and there'll be duplexes and condos. It's like Altadena, the people of Altadena need to
Mhm.
be in charge of this. Like they just like lost their community and be like, oh, we're gonna just build some duplexes and good luck. Find like they want
Mm.
their community back and to be whole again.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're not interested. Like, well, I shouldn't speak for them, but my guess is, and from what I've seen,
From yeah.
the interest isn't high in having Altadena turned into strips of duplexes and
Right.
apartments and like, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. No,
So
I'm right there with you, Lawrence. And Pancho, just to tell you, California's gone communist. Vote better. Vote better. I tell you what, we didn't vote Newscomb in, and 3 times or 2 times we tried to recall him. We had enough
we didn't.
signatures. It's all. It's a
He
plan. It's
cheats.
the. It's he cheats. He's part of the 4 families who've owned California for 100 years. This is a rollout of the plan. So
He
it
cheats.
takes more people to speak up. But from all my districts, no one vote. No one's voting
Yeah,
for him.
he's a sociopathic scumbag.
Yeah. And his
Straight up.
bloodline, he's
Yeah,
part of the ownership
he's
thing.
part of
So
the crew.
this could very well be just another piece of the puzzle to expose more of it. So, but at the expense of many innocent people, which sucks big time.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. It's just all this stuff. And you got this vulnerability now. That
Uh-huh.
understandably, it's a vulnerability, and
Yeah.
there's a predatory. And look, we haven't even, and we're over here in our world in Los Angeles, and then the other side of the country in Western North Carolina, where FEMA funds are drying up, and it's
Mhm.
just really, really disgusting. We
Mhm.
moved $175 billion into Ukraine.
Oh yeah, don't get me
It's
started.
just wild to see our own people
I know.
this happening to. This is
Yeah.
just yeah. It's
My bestie's in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and I remember, and she had just moved there when all that happened. That's how she met her community. But she was saying, our hearts are, I didn't feel the fright or flight because the community just went boom, and everyone was at everyone's door, everyone was helping each other, and you don't, you. She's like, no one's relying on anyone anymore because no one's coming to help. We have to do it ourselves. But it's like they instinctually did anyway, and I feel that here with these communities it's the community that's doing this. But it doesn't mean I ever want any, puppet master overlords to take over. But I just love hearing that this community is just rising every day and every hour. And I know we can keep going. You got to organize and be more proactive. Totally. I get that. Yes, Lawrence, you said a mouthful right there. There you go. I know I want to keep sharing that, but I also want to get into like some kind of like a solution hopeful thing. I wanted to ask you about mullein leaf. We have those droplets like for
sure.
lungs and
We
like, you know,
bat down a couple more.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm totally hearing you guys. So Pancho, yeah, this us keeping our heels in the ground and staying here and doing that is because I do feel this uprising surging and being on that wanting to protect Southern California as much as possible.
Yeah, there's kind of it's a strange, and I went through this in a big way a few years back when I was ready to leave the state. And
Mhm.
there's this like strange thing of wanting to stay and fight or versus just give like
Yeah.
it's hard to
Same.
explain, but there's
Yeah.
this sense of like
Or have a
I don't want
calling
no,
here.
I don't want you
Yeah.
to win,
Right.
I'm
That's
not
it. I'm gonna
leaving.
go out kicking and screaming if I
Like,
have to.
like part
Yeah.
of me is also the like, what am I crazy? I should leave. Like I get it,
I
man.
don't
Look,
wanna surrender. When
I
I
could
saw that
argue both
mofo
sides.
like excited and doing
Oh,
that's when I'm like, I'm gonna buy
when
more
he's talking
property.
and I talked to and then somebody did like a video where it's like, it's like, dude, F you. Let's solution. So mullein leaf, you mentioned mullein leaf. We can
Yeah.
kind of
I
move into a couple of nutritional bits here as far as for lung health, respiratory health.
mhm,
Um, mullein, excellent choice for lung.
mhm. Okay.
Um, so you think of like some of the herbs, mullein is one of the better ones. It's actually used for helping the lungs. Um, you could yerba santa is another, and it's actually
Yerba
native.
Santa?
Yerba santa
Hmm.
is great stuff as well. Um, what I actually like a lot for respiratory health is a compound called NAC, which we talked a
Oh,
lot about,
yeah.
during pandemic and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So NAC stands for N-acetylcysteine. It's super cheap, really, really good for the lungs, and it helps to crank up glutathione in the body.
That
And
was
in
it.
situations
Glutathione.
where, you kind of feel like it's an acute situation, maybe some active lung, thing going on, feel free to go up to, 2,400 milligrams to, 3,000 milligrams, right?
Of NAC?
Of NAC.
Of
Yeah.
NAC. Do you see that from Big Dwarf?
Yeah.
Yerba
Well,
Santa
sage.
sage? Is that it?
So yerba santa is its own um, plant.
Mhm.
There's yerba santa, yerba manta,
Mhm.
and then there's the sage plant.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, and I'm not sure. I'm not an herbalist enough to know like how the family in the family, because they bundle. They often, when people are doing like the smudge sticks, it'll be
Mhm.
bound. So it'll be yerba santa bound with sage. So
Okay.
you sage the room for
I do that before class every day.
good mojo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Palo
Um,
Santo.
yeah.
Mm.
But to the dosing on NAC, 2,400 milligrams to 3,000, that's a higher end, right? For a
Mhm.
larger person, let's say maybe 150 to 200 pounds, maybe 1,800 milligrams. Usually daily, like a 600 milligram NAC dose is good. But like when you kind of need, and the same holds true for like if you've got like a, some kind of a bug or something and you need some seasonal help or whatever, NAC is really good.
Mhm.
So I think that's excellent. I think for as far as for keeping the nasal passages clear and clean and kind of protected, there's some good options. I like using like a xylitol spray for the nose
Xylitol.
because it's natural.
Oh, is it
Yeah,
xylitol?
xylitol.
Like
Yeah, so
tea?
xylitol is a natural. It
Spray.
typically
Huh.
used as a sweetener.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I was like, "Is that the same
That they
thing?"
make a spray called Xlear,
Uh-huh.
Xlear. Now, if you have pets, be careful because xylitol, if a dog eats xylitol, it can kill them
Oh,
because they
gosh.
can't
Okay.
process it properly.
Okay.
Okay. But it's a kind of good antibacterial agent. They have xylitol gum that fights cavities,
Mhm.
but they do
Mhm.
like nasal sprays, some kind of saline spray, doing like neti pot, using clear purified water. I mean, it's very
In your
rare, but
neti
people that
pot.
use, like, tap
Yeah.
water for neti pots, don't do that.
Oh my gosh, made the
Like,
worst mistake of my life. I tried
just
that
don't do
once.
that. Those are all, helpful things to do.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I would say, kind of about of that. I think the next 30 days, I think after these next 3 or 4 weeks, provided
Mhm.
that nothing, knock on wood, nothing new springs up, we should be pretty good in terms of like, the air quality in the
You
greater
think
area.
so?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean,
Mhm.
again, that will be heavily contingent. If we get a good rainstorm, that would be
I
amazing.
know, please. It's supposed to be
And
wind
then how well
tomorrow.
that they handle this cleanup, the cleanup crews have
Yeah.
to go there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this stuff gets just swept back up. So they
Mm.
gotta like limit traffic in these areas and all kinds of sort of things needed to keep
Mhm.
things from just kind of popping back up.
And what if it
Um,
does, like, downpour rain tomorrow? Wouldn't all those chemicals, everything go rushed into the systems? Well, I
well, a
guess
lot of
everything's
them
there
just
anyway.
the good thing about it would be a lot of them just get weighed down in the ash.
Oh.
So the possibility of a lot of them just washing off like some kind of a mudslide or water is unlikely because if you're talking about a normal rainfall,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
depending where things are situated, but it'd be better to have it, I think, beat down a little bit
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
in
I get
circulating.
it. Yeah, I get
But
I me too, Jane. Good old Vicks inhaler. That's my club days.
Vicks, yeah. I saw something like on a reel, on a I don't know how to make it. I forgot. I saw it was like to make like a natural
The
Vicks
natural Vicks
vapor
thing.
rub, or natural Vicks kind of candle.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Charlie gave me this beautiful set of dry herbs. It's eucalyptus and say all these things, and you hang them in your shower. So the steam, so it pumps it out all every time you take a shower. It's very spa-like. It was very sweet.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's a good
You
idea.
know, eucalyptus, those kind of things.
Mhm.
Some of the essential oils, the
Mhm.
mint and all that kind of opens up and helps you breathe.
D Do you
Um,
did from that webinar you did, was it my mom friend was like, "It sounded like it's worse than 9/11 here in the
it was
skies."
well,
Mhm.
honestly, I was watching it. I was texting my girlfriend, like, man, this is just like,
Is it
because
fear
I was
porn?
watching it hopefully for solutions that were like really unique, and there wasn't really much novel. The
Oh.
thing that it did do is it kind of spooked the heck out of me.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was really
Kids
like
stayed home after
it was
that. They
bad.
went
It was
yeah.
bad.
They
But
really fear
look,
porned a couple people, my
it's
friends of mine.
if you look
But
at the amount of
it's true,
structures
though.
that burned,
Mhm.
it's not that unlikely that what they're saying is true. I mean, that's
Oh,
just
yeah. Do you ju I
it's
just felt like it
bad.
was there, but I guess it could go anywhere when depending, huh? That's what I think my friend was really trying to lay home with me was like, "Yeah, I know it's worse here and not where you are, but it could go over there. It could float over there or be blown over there."
Yeah,
So,
a
but
bit. I
yeah.
think once you start getting into like the 20-mile, like, where the higher
That's where I
concentration,
am. Yeah, I'm
it's
like,
kind of like
"No, I think we're good." Yeah. But some of the
you're
moms who sat in on that meeting, they didn't come bring their kids to school, so they were
yeah,
worried.
no, it could spook people out for sure. And I think like,
Mhm.
look, if you just one of the things in the meeting was just like it would be like a
Bless
few weeks. Obviously, some of these things are just going to linger longer
Mhm.
than that, and that's we can't control it.
Mhm. Mhm.
We can't. There's not much you can really do.
Yeah. Oh.
You can't.
Yeah. Are
You,
you, how your clients, like, do you think you'll see I'm just wondering about people's nervous systems,
no, all of
and
that. Yeah,
it's all
already
jacked,
seeing
huh?
all of that completely
Yeah.
jacked, and watching this happening. As far as our brain is concerned, our brain is experiencing it as if it's happening. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the sad but true thing about this. And we're in an unprecedented time that we can watch any kind of moving videos. You know what I mean? This is even just kind of movies and images that move. That's new. And our brain sees things and believes it on some
Mm.
level that this is real. And if we're going through and doom scrolling, it is going to impact. Look, I'm guilty of that, and I have shit sleep. Trying to sleep and I'm
Yeah.
waking up and into something. Obviously, it's like this is really harsh reality. And I think like for the people that have actually seen it firsthand, like I
Mhm.
haven't gone over there and seen it firsthand. I just can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
traumatizing.
That's the
Absolutely.
scary part, hearing that there was just a ball coming, it was
Frightening.
sweeping. It wasn't a typical, like, catch and burn. It was like,
No,
whoosh.
it was frightening.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
hell
Oh,
on earth.
oh boy. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Woo, so
yeah,
we're in the deep
it's
stages of recovery then. We're still in deep stages of recovering, whether it's trauma, psychological, physical, it's recovery time. Um, do you know Jeff Mamora? Have I asked you that before? I want to connect you because he's down by you. I think not in
mm.
Redondo. I think even further. But he's giving free treatments to firefighters, and
Oh wow.
he really works on the lungs. He's got this little inhaler thing he does. It almost looks like a vape pen, but it's nothing like a vape pen.
Some type of a
C20 C
nebulizer,
yeah,
something
it's like
maybe?
a yeah, you would might I would be very interested your thoughts on it, but wondered if,
Yeah, you
I
have
don't
to
know, that
send
might
me
be a good conversation for
link
us to have.
me after and
Mhm.
and I'll try to connect with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there unfortunately, to kinda tidy this up as we're finishing out here is, like,
Yeah.
the air quality index isn't,
Mhm.
really giving you the full story on the air. Um, so it's like, be mindful of that if you're spending a lot of time outdoors and obviously depending on proximity. And then secondarily, invest in, some air purification for the home, something
Mhm.
HEPA at a minimum. and then you can go down as fancy as you need to go. But just a basic HEPA with like activated carbon in it can
I
set
would
you back $60 or $70, and
Oh, I would just hope as an event like this, like when we had the dump and enough people got pissed, they gave everybody for every room in their house like one of those amazing good ones. So, I mean,
yeah,
shouldn't they offer them at this point? Sorry
you
that
would think,
happened on our watch.
you would think.
You'd think. Yeah, black seed oil. Have you heard that one?
Black
Black
seed oil
seed
is
oil.
some good stuff. It's one of the more powerful. It's Nigella sativa, and it will help inflammation greatly, and things like in the lungs. Like, so if the lungs are
Cool.
inflamed, it can bring down inflammation pretty dramatically.
Mhm.
Yeah, Nigella sativa, and you can get it in soft gels or liquid, and probably want to use about 2 grams, 2,000 milligrams to 4,000 milligrams, like 2 to 4 grams a day. About right. That's good
Gotcha.
stuff.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then, the psychological, kind of how we started this off, get with people to talk to, huh? There's probably a lot of trauma groups. I know I myself have, got this counsel with the children, just to get everyone at least talking and unlocking some of that
Yeah.
that they've frozen up on. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
talk. They got to talk more. Yeah.
it's tough. It's for fire, it hits close to home for me. I don't know if you remember, Heidi, like a little over a year ago. I don't know if you recall, but like my best friend's mom, she perished in a house fire, and
Hmm.
his children. And I'm gonna say this because I feel like it could probably help some people. Was what was fortuitous in all this. Well, there were many fortuitous elements, but just a week prior, no, his little girl went to the same grade school that him and I went to, and they taught fire safety the week before. So when this
Wow.
had happened, she n took her little sister. She was 5 or so, 6. So it was like a kindergarten, and her little sister hadn't even been in school yet. She was like 3,
Wow.
and took her sister, and they got cover. And when the neighbor saw that there was fire, first he thought they were burning leaves or something in the backyard, and then he realized this is way too big. What's going on? He went down there. This guy was working on his car, and he went over there and he went in and he got the girls out.
Oh.
But when he went back in, he couldn't get. And
Oh. Oh,
this
I'm
was
so
like my
sad.
second mom.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Laura.
So
So sad.
and the reason I'm bringing it up is because you mentioned about trauma, and the girls had to go through
Oh my God.
the necessary steps in therapy, and um there's no good, real solid, perfect answer to how to, but you
Yeah.
have to do something. You can't just ignore it, and you can't think it's just going to get better with some time. It actually needs some active attention.
Yeah. You
So
have to move through it. You've
absolutely,
gotta move
absolutely,
one foot in front of the other. Oh, those little girls, bless their little hearts. May the angels
it's,
protect them. My gosh.
it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And so by the grace of God that she
That's right. I know.
applied something that she learned.
At that
So,
age, you're never too
if
young to
if your
learn
kids
a
if your kids
plan.
don't know some fire safety, do
Yeah.
that right now, like,
Yeah.
get on it, what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on the internet here and learn,
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah.
So,
Mm,
and check all your the smoke detectors and things in your house, and make sure the batteries are
yeah.
fresh and all that stuff.
Yeah. There's one, I know we're closing up, but one little thing I want to share that, especially in this day and age when everyone does find their community online and not a lot of people even know their neighbors. Even when this happened, we felt like our power was out for 3 days. That was kind of the extent of our drama, but it was this. We're friendlier. Like the lady brought us brie bites. It made us these little cute little things. The giant gave a chicken. Like
Yeah,
we're like, we need to know our neighbors more because that's who you're going to count on in these times of need, really.
yeah,
And it kind of got everyone go, oh yeah, and look off their phones a little bit and be like, hi, nice to meet you. Now there's a sheriff, there's a firefighter, but there's also, they know we got a generator, they got this, they got that. Get,
super
sometimes it's
useful,
okay to be neighborly. Yeah.
super useful.
Yeah, and especially with those children, like that situation,
Yeah,
it's the stranger danger thing, but if there's an issue, I want them to know, run to so and so's house. Like you need
Yep.
to these people. So I mean, it's hard to have these conversations, but you know what? Talking about trauma and talking about these things that do happen, it's part of our health. This is our health journey. Some of those people that have been gravely affected by smoke inhalation or what they've tragically seen, they're going to heal from that, and that's a form of health.
And I think too, what this speaks to is like when the shit hits the fan, everything reverts into what let's just call a traditional hierarchy, right? Where people with skills step forward. You need the sort of this is where it all goes out the window. The luxury of the modern kind of woke way of life where, things can just kind of there's no like sense of like, okay, masculinity, right? Like it was toxic masculinity until the time you need it, right?
Oh, yeah,
Like we
that's right.
like in the moment that
they were
the
saying,
sort of
yeah.
things kind of revert to like, who are the people with the muscles and who are the people with the gumption, and then where are the people that can be with the kids, and where are the nurturers, and where are the like, it does kind of go to a base level.
Primal.
Things become
Mhm.
very primal, very, very fast.
Mhm.
Like quickly
Yeah.
it
And we have to be
becomes,
okay with that.
who's going to get this fixed, and
Yeah.
who's going to move that thing out of the way in the trench, and who's going to get who's
Yeah.
going to get the jack, and who's going to get the hoist, and who you
Yeah.
sort of need those things, and you forget about it because modern society gives you the luxury of removal from those primal things, and then you're just thrown into that situation where some survival skills are needed.
Mhm.
It becomes very real very quick.
Mhm.
So it shows how much of a luxury that we have to be able to, kind of have these ideas and think that you can run a society based off of them. Like
Mhm.
the firefighter that said, when, you want to be rescued, you want somebody that looks like you. No,
Mhm.
I don't care.
I want someone that could do the
I just
job.
want someone that can do the job. I don't care that they look like me. I don't need a
Uh-huh.
white male showing up for me.
Mhm. I got you.
Like
I
I
got
don't
you.
care. Like just get me safe. Like, so it starts to become, these kind of things
I
kind of
got you.
wake people up, I believe, to like the necessity of like, hey, let's not forget like some old school, like who are the helpers, Like if I'm going into a trench, into a battle, like I want some dude with like some tools, like, you know what I
I
mean?
want a giant.
A truck. Like
Yeah.
you get all these people that people are comfortable with dumping on,
Yeah. Yeah.
the people, in other words, that the mass media can just, you can kind of call these people backwoods or redneck, or those like end up being the people that are like going to get your ass to safety.
Boom.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's a mic drop moment. We'll end
Mic
it
drop.
with
Straight
that.
up, because I think of like someone like my brother. I'm like, that
Yeah.
my brother can't tell my brother shit. Like he's gonna live. you know? Like he's gonna take care of everybody. So
Aw.
that's what you need. So just a
Yeah.
reminder of like that there is a healthy masculinity in the world that should be celebrated, and this doesn't to celebrate masculinity doesn't mean throw away feminine,
Doesn't mean dismiss
and it
everybody
doesn't even
else.
male and
Yeah.
female necessarily. It just means remember,
Yeah.
shit goes sideways.
Yeah.
It gets very like
You ignore the exterior sometime. Yeah. And it absolutely, Angel Wings, just be prepared for anything. Be prepared for anything. Be flexible. Be open. Have an open perspective too, and open to alternative healing too. Yeah. Totally.
all of these things.
Yeah.
All of
All
these
of these
things
things.
matter.
Well, thanks, peeps, for coming in and playing, hanging out, and playing. Come listen to our. This was a heavier one, but it's what we're going through, and it's why we couldn't record last week. So,
No, we didn't do. We're gonna have to do now at the 59th
that's
minute.
right.
A
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Hey, we're getting
I
2
felt
years
like
later. We got it.
the universe would implode or something if we
Yeah.
didn't do that.
Well, thank you, Lawrence. Thanks for sharing that stuff and your insight on it. And you opened me up a little bit because, I'm like, I know air quality. I have a dump over here, and we've been watching this forever,
Yeah.
and this sky looks great. We just still have to be very mindful of all the particulates and things.
Yeah.
And
And
be
again,
smart.
this is if you're close or not and all that,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, you guys. Thanks for popping in here.
Thank you.
No, not right now. I'm getting told thank you for my Feastable. He wanted me to show you it's organic. Feastable
Oh.
chocolate.
Okay. Cool.
Um,
Peaceable chocolate to the rescue.
on that note, Lauren's hang tight and
Yes.
peeps.
Angel
Well,
wings.
yay.
Embrace both sides.
Sides. Beautiful. That was a beautiful.
Hallelujah. Amen.
Yeah.
We
And hello
need
to Chili.
each other. We all need each other.
Taco Detector, I see you there. Hello from Chile. Good night to you as well. Or good night is hello. You know, buenas noches. And Bo's here, so that's my out. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Bo shows up at the end always. Okay.
So we'll
Peace out,
see you all
everyone.
next week. Okay.
Yep.
Bye. Ow.